This is probably your second lesson, I would have thought by now, and it's your sixth programming task. And what we're going to be looking at is analog components, which will hopefully help you with your parking challenge, one of the 3 challenges that you have. I'm just going to flick off to back onto that to get rid of that silly square that's on the page. We're looking at analog components, analog inputs in particular. Analog inputs have an infinite number of states. What that means is that they can control things like lights in your living room, and that's why you have a dimmer switch. That's got an analog input, whereas digital input is like a switch. It's got a state which is on, represented by a 1, or off, represented by a 0 in your programming. And therefore, as you know, if you flick a switch, a light is either on or off. So that's a difference. The Genie, when you have a analog input, it interprets those infinite number of states into 256 different numbers between 0 and 255, and we're going to be looking at that a little bit later. So what am I asking you to do? Well, what I want you to do with this programming task is start. I want you to ask, is G1 on? If G1 is on through your LDR, which we'll go through, then I want both LEDs to come on. If it isn't on, I want both LEDs to go off. So let's have a look. Here we are. Here is our Genie board, and we have an LDR connected to it. Can you see it? It's that bit there with the wiggly line. Okay. Now, if the LDR is sending a signal to the Genie, which says when there's electricity going to the Genie, then the Genie will turn both of those LEDs on. If I put my thumb over that LDR, you can see both LEDs go off, and then I put it off, I can put it on, off, on, off, on, off, and then I can flash it or whatever, do Morse code. This is going to be really good for your parking challenge, telling your buggy when to stop, when to go, and so that you can stop on those 3 different black areas. Right, how do we do this? Well, let's just jump across to Circuit Wizard and we can go through it. This is the simple program we're going to use, but I'm just going to start again and go through it with you. Okay, so we have our flowchart. Let's click on that. Plug and play table has been connected. Flowchart. Okay, great. We've got our start, and if I can just move this across a little bit, we've got our starts there. That's good. What do we want? G1 on. Right, we're going to do that through this command here. Okay, this analog command. And if we double click this analog command, it will give us an array of 0 to 255 different values that we can select. So we've just got to pop back to, maybe I can do it here. If I hold up in the background, you see we've got the LDR. If I cancel this and go to this calibrate sensor, right, it's accessing and it's working out how much light it's receiving through the sensor. I think it needs a little charge, so let's just give it a charge. There we go. Let's retry. There it is, it's accessing. Accessing microcontroller. Right, it's calibrating sensor. Sorry for that little delay there. Can you see at the moment it's on value 231 out of a possible number of 255. Okay, now if I put my thumb over this, can you see it goes right down? No, it's not playing ball, is it? All right, that's better. Can you see? So we're going down to 60, 70, and then when I take my thumb away, it's going all the way back up to about 230. There we go again, 70, 225. So I want to choose a value which is in the middle of that. So why don't we say something like 100, 120 maybe. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cancel that function. I'm going to go back down to this analog, and I'm going to pull that red one up to 120. What you can see now is when we hit a value between 119, 120 and 255, and it was on about 230, wasn't it, when I had my finger off of it, then that sensor will be on. Okay, and if it's below that number, so if it's below 119 and it was around 70, then it will be off. So that's the yes and no function of this command. And of course, the next bit's really easy. What do? We go to the outputs. If it is in that range, we put those two high. If it isn't in that range, we put those two low. And then we join it up. Go back into the start. It's that easy. So that is what I want you to do. And hopefully you'll be able to control those lights with the LDR.